Iran falls into the trap after Trump sinks Tehran's submarine force with an offensive at the military port. Three unmanned Corsair vessels advanced against the Iranian naval base and struck the submarine placed in the maintenance area and a facility used to repair ships. The United States Central Command confirmed on Monday, July 13th, that this was the first use of American maritime drones in a combat operation. The mission took place at the most sensitive point of the Iranian coast, where Tehran tries to intimidate cargo ships. They sent small unmanned craft against the structure that supports the naval capability of the regime. It shows a submarine hit and a maintenance center compromised. What did Iran lose in Bandar Abbas? Why did Trump choose maritime drones? I'll tell you all about that in a moment. If you like this kind of straightforward and no-nonsense content, consider subscribing because we have videos like this every day. The operation was carried out with 3 unmanned surface vehicles. The video released by the Central Command shows the vessels approaching the pier and then the explosions in the area where the submarine was located. Washington classified the equipment as single-use attack drones. They were sent to reach the target without having to return and without putting a crew inside the vessel. Bandar Abbas was chosen because it houses a major part of Iran's naval infrastructure facing the Strait of Hormuz. The base serves as a support hub for submarines, military vessels, maintenance and surveillance operations along the shipping route. Hitting the workshop doesn't just mean damaging metal and concrete. A facility like this keeps vessels available, repairs damaged systems, and returns naval assets to service. Without repairs, ships that still exist may remain out of action during a critical phase of the war. Central Command stated that the offensive reduced Iran's ability to continue attacking commercial ships. On Sunday, a container ship was attacked according to cited reports. Trump declared the provisional agreement made the previous month to be over and accused Tehran of breaking yet another deal. That's when Iran falls into the political and military trap. Tehran tries to force the United States to choose between backing down or putting large ships and sailors into a narrow passage surrounded by coastal radars, missiles, drones, mines, and small boats. Trump opened a third option. Maritime drones can enter dangerous zones and carry out certain missions without exposing dozens of military personnel on each approach. The regime prepared the coast to confront destroyers, aircraft carriers, and human crews. Now they also need to watch out for small machines that can appear in groups and strike at the heart of a base. The use of this equipment didn't start with the explosion in Bandar Abbas. On June 9, 2026, a Navy surface drone found and helped rescue 2 crew members from an Apache helicopter that crashed near the coast of Oman. The same line of technology that pulled soldiers out of the water was adapted weeks later for an offensive mission. This leap shows why Washington is accelerating the use of unmanned systems. The machine can take on the most dangerous part of the operation, preserve American lives, and maintain pressure on enemy structures. Trump stepped up the offensive just a few hours later. The president announced the reinstatement of the blockade against vessels linked to Iranian ports and declared that the United States would be the guardian of the Strait of Hormuz. He also supported charging a 20% fee on cargo authorized to pass through the strait. The blockade was scheduled to begin on Tuesday, July 14, with permission granted for humanitarian cargo subjected to inspection. Ships bound for ports in other countries could continue using the route as long as they did not violate the announced restrictions against Iran. The decision increases the pressure on Tehran. The regime tried to declare that it controlled Hormuz and sought to impose its own authorization and fee system. Trump responded by trying to take away from Iran the power to decide who passes, who pays, and who is stopped. If Tehran uses the strait as a weapon, Washington intends to control access to Iranian ports and ensure passage for other ships under American protection. The Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi responded by saying that Tehran would continue to be the guardian of the strait. The negotiator, Mohammed Baker Kalibaf, stated that the era of one-sided agreements was over and accused Washington of breaking commitments. The Iranian High Command also declared that the United States would not have the authority to determine the future of Hormuz. The responses show that the regime does not intend to back down publicly, even after having a strategic base hit by a technology used in combat for the first time. The reaction outside of the war was also immediate. The International Maritime Organization stated that there is no legal basis for charging mandatory fees just for passing through an international strait. The European Union's top diplomat Kaja Kallas defended freedom of navigation. These criticisms create a diplomatic problem for Trump's proposal, but they do not alter the military reality. The United States has already demonstrated that they can strike inside Bandar Abbas without sending a manned vessel to the dock. The dispute directly affects global trade. Before the war that began on February 28, about a fifth of the oil and gas transported by sea passed through Hormuz every day. Tracking data showed a drop of approximately 52% in vessel movement between July 10 and 12 compared to the previous week. Brent crude oil rose more than 5% after the new threats, the attacks, and Trump's announcement. Each stalled cargo ship increases insurance, freight, and energy costs far beyond the Middle East. Tehran responded by attacking American facilities or those linked to the United States in different parts of the region. The war reached a wider scope just when negotiations were supposed to reduce the tension. Technology reduces sailors' exposure during certain missions, but it doesn't turn war into a game without victims. The US toll has reached 14 service members killed, with more than 400 wounded since the beginning of the conflict, while thousands of people have died, mainly in Iran and Lebanon. Drones can preserve crews during an operation. However, each new offensive increases the risk of retaliation, miscalculation, and the expansion of the fighting. The loss in Bandar Abbas forces Iran to spread its resources. Tehran needs to protect the strait, the radars, the depots, the ports, the maintenance centers, and the vessels that are still available. Every system moved to defend one base leaves another area less protected. Large ships are still decisive, but they're no longer the only way to project power at sea. Autonomous vessels can patrol, assist in rescues, and take part in coordinated attacks. For Iran, the problem doesn't end with the explosion recorded at the dock. The threat can now come right at the waterline, with no visible crew and without offering the regime the human target it expected to find. Thank you very much for watching this video until the end. Support our project and contribute financially through the Pix key that appears on your screen. We are an independent channel, focused on keeping you informed and telling you the truth. Your contribution helps us keep going. Next.